G'day everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about what I take with me all the time, what is in my camera bag. Let's get into it. So let's start with the backpack itself. It is a low pro BP Tahoe 150, one of the smaller backpacks they make, as you can see by the size. Has two exterior mesh pockets, which are great for 1 litre bottles each, and the interior compartments are awesome. They don't charge you any extra for just having some of the compartments and kind of dividers that they have. So I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. And also the 3 main pockets are also very handy. The material itself is quite good, repels water, but I would say is not waterproof. So if it sits in the water for too long, it will start to soak up the water. The way I've set out my backpack for this video is how I would set it out if I was just doing a trip very, very close to home. So I wouldn't set it out like this if I had to pack snacks and all sorts of other things, maybe a lot of water as well. I wouldn't set it out like this. This is if I want to have all of my gear with me, if I'm doing something maybe near the beach or something like that. So just so you know, this does change depending on what I'm doing, but generally this is what I keep in my backpack. So the first thing that we'll talk about for things that go in here is one of the cameras, which is the Nikon D5600, which is exactly what I'm filming on right now. Just with the kit lens, it's the 18-55, goes very well. I like that for video. It's got the vibration reduction, stuff like that. I also carry with it the 50mm 1.8, which ends up being, because it's for the full frame, ends up being around 70mm, but very handy as well just to keep with me. I've got the space for it, so why not? So still kind of attached to the whole Nikon D5600 thing is what I use for audio for my videos. Not today, of course. The talking head videos, I use a different microphone, but if I'm just trying to capture some different sounds, maybe talk from other people as well, interview sort of stuff is great. For using this one here, don't have to think about it too much, chuck it on, good to go. And yeah, talking head stuff on the go, this one is the one to get, which is the Rode Video Micro. So no power supply needed for that one. And the only other thing that I really carry with this kit that's kind of outside of it is just the tripod. And again, it's a pretty cheap one that I got from JB Hi-Fi, but nothing too crazy. I'll try to leave the links for as much of this stuff as I can in the description below. So the other thing that I've kind of just recently added in the last couple of months is my new camera, which is the Fujifilm X100V. Loving it so far, having a great time playing with all the different settings, and it is my go-to. And because it is weather resistant, if the weather starts getting a little bit too hectic out there, this bad boy comes out. So the other thing that I carry in here is in this red pouch here. It is my DJI Osmo Action. Now, I also have a spare battery that goes along with it that's in here. And I've found that these are a lot more reliable than the GoPros. I just haven't had much luck with them. Even the newer ones, I don't know what it is, but I just seem to have bad luck with them. So this is my go-to for capturing some different angles and also some action as well. More like if I'm doing some car talking head stuff, I've got a mount as well that I can put in the car. Don't normally take that with me. I might just leave that in the car instead, but that's where that belongs, right in the corner. Don't use it very often, so it kind of stays a little bit out of the way. One more thing I always keep in here, guys, is just a spare towel. This changes, it's not necessarily this one, it's just a random one that I have, and microfiber is obviously better, so it's not scratching things. But if I'm going somewhere to take photos and also swim, I will make this one a bit of a bigger towel, and the microfiber ones seem to be thin enough where you can kind of fold it over a few times and still get it to this sort of form factor. So although this one's not a big one, I would only use this one more for keeping the camera dry and keeping some of my belongings clean as well. So something that probably not a lot of photographers would have in their backpacks, but they probably should, is this, which is the Garmin InReach Mini. I'll be doing a video dedicated just to this Garmin InReach Mini, mostly because there's a lot of features on here I'd like to go through and probably why you should own one. But basically what it does is it's got an SOS function on it, and if you press that, they'll send a rescue team to come and get you. Obviously you have to be in satellite reach and satellite range. If you're in a really dense forest, it doesn't pick up very well, but that's something that we'll talk about in the next video where I'll be talking about this. But mostly what I use it for is where I live, we get out of mobile phone range and service range really quickly. And so what I do is I use this to send pre-programmed text messages to people on my contacts list. And it just lets them know things like I'm checking in and I'm leaving now or arrive safe. So that's why I keep this with me all the time. All right, now moving on to the top pocket. At the very top pocket, we have got three things. One, we've got sunscreen, and the second thing, we have got some insect repellent, mostly for March flies, but also for midges and for mosquitoes. The other thing that I have in here is very new to my pack, and it is a New Balance running jacket. And it's very, very lightweight, but it's completely water repellent. And it's quite hard to believe, and I wouldn't be able to show you this on camera, but it's so thin, you can see through it, so it will keep you nice and cool in this hot Cairns weather that we have here. But also too, it repels 100% of the water, so much so that I can put water on it and I can move it around because it beads. So that's very, very handy, and I will be keeping that in here permanently because I am so happy with it at the moment. So that's my latest purchase. So I can't wait to use that when the wet weather comes back. One last thing that I keep in here, but I don't have at the moment because I'm using all of my memory cards at the moment, is a memory card just tucks in here as well. So that's kind of all that I have in this main section. So that covers what's in the main section of this backpack. Let's have a look and see what's in the middle section. I keep a couple of things in here that aren't in here at the moment because obviously I'm at home. One is I keep my keys attached to this hook just so that they don't go walkabout, and I know exactly where they are and they're tied into my bag. So even just in case they fall out of the bag, they'll still be attached to the bag. Another thing I keep in here is my mobile phone as well. I just slot it in here because I don't want it rattling around in my pocket. So the main things I keep in here are mostly just my small, very thin power bank, which is enough to probably give my phone one whole charge up from the start to the end, and also to probably charge my Garmin InReach Mini a couple of times over. And of course, that's just all worst case scenario stuff. Speaking of worst case scenario, here is some of the hygiene things I keep with me that probably not many people would show you. Toilet paper. A big one, just in case you get in trouble. You might even be at a national park where they have toilets. Fantastic. But do they have toilet paper? That's the question. Take no risks, take no chances. Toilet paper, I keep with me all the time, and I don't keep it on a roll. I've unrolled it off the roll, I guess you could say, and flattened it out into a nice watertight bag. I also have some salt in here as well, which is a bit weird to keep with it, but I don't want that to get wet, just to get rid of those leeches in case any decide to latch on. And one more thing that I keep with me as well is the antibacterial wipes. Massively important. If you go to national parks around Cairns, you'll often find that there are hand washing stations outside of them, but they often don't have soap. So this becomes very important because, yeah, sure, wash your hands with the water, that's great, but it's not really going to do anything to get rid of the germs. So that's where this comes in handy. One more thing that I keep with me is just my cables as well. This is only one of them, of course, but I keep with me my lightning cable as well for my phone, and also any other cables for any of the equipment I have. I keep my Type-C with me as well to charge up my Fujifilm X100V also. So any cables that I need on any given trip, I'll also just chuck into this middle pocket too. There are probably two other things that I didn't talk about that sometimes make their way into my bag, things like my chest mount and my suction cup mount, but generally I don't really keep them with me. It just depends on what I'm doing. If you have any questions, chuck them in the comments below. Other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next video.